This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Yes, sir. The Canes headed down the stretch. 2 games left. See what they get going here against Louisville. They're actually favored against Louisville, the number 9 team in the country. Manny Navarro ready to go. Follow him on Twitter at Manny_Navarro. Does it make sense that Miami is favored with a wounded starting quarterback that hasn't looked good? I'm confused. Aren't they the number 9 team in the country and Miami's unranked?
Well, this is Vegas always seems to know something, don't they, Big O? I mean, it doesn't make sense right now based on the way these teams have been playing, with Louisville playing at its best. But look, last week they looked shaky against a 2-win team in Virginia, right? They didn't play necessarily too well. They lost to Pittsburgh, who just picked up their 3rd win last night. So this is a Louisville team that has underwhelmed as well at times this year and hasn't necessarily always played its best. I will say this: I don't think Louisville's ever won a game in Miami. So I think Vegas believes that this is an upset possibility. So that's why Miami's favored by 1.
I'm baffled, bro. And then your thoughts on continuing with Tyler Van Dyke?
Yeah, I think a lot of it probably has to do with Ja'Carri Brown and either the coaching staff not having the confidence in him that he can get the job done as a passer, or he's already made up his mind that he's entering the transfer portal at the end of the year and doesn't want to get hurt. So to me, I think that probably has a lot to do with why the choice was made pretty quickly to go back to Tyler. I thought, again, right after the game was over, just as Mario was talking about Emory Williams, breaking his left arm, he also said, well, we have a great guy who's a good leader ready to step in Tyler Van Dyke. So it was almost like, it wasn't even a thought in his mind really to make it a competition with Ja'Carri Brown, is what my point is. So to me, I think I'm leaning towards the latter. That Ja'Carri Brown is probably leaving, although I have no intel to suggest that. Nobody has told me he is 100% leaving. So
that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And not good also, because then that's Ja'Carri looking at the situation going, yeah, I don't want to be here. I don't like this place, or I don't like what they're doing here.
Well,
and then the flip side is, my God, they've got to go find quarterbacks.
yeah, I think that's the reality. That's the reality of it. Is unfortunately in today's game with the transfer portal and NIL, the doors open every year. It's like free agency, and you have to sort of rebuild your roster. I think that's the one thing that a lot of us who have been doing this for a long time are still getting accustomed to, right? That you could have, aside from your 25, 26 man recruiting class, you could have 20 more transfers on top of that, or 15 more transfers on top of that. And every year you're shuffling in 40 new guys, whereas before you were developing guys and, the transfers rarely happen. So I think you just have to start to get used to the fact that that's the way college football is.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, well, we'll see if they have. You heard any names or anything?
Well, I mean,
I'm almost more interested at what quarterback you're going to bring in than anything that's going to happen in the next 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of possibilities out there. I think Michael Pratt, who is a hometown kid at Tulane, he's done a lot of winning over there with Tulane. Tulane's been one of the best Group of 5 schools. He's got another year of eligibility. I know some people have talked about him maybe going to the NFL. I think that's the kind of kid that's a perfect target for Miami, right? You bring him home, you let him be your bridge quarterback until a guy like Emory Williams is ready. Or until you're able to maybe bring in another transfer, right, or somebody else that maybe needs a year of seasoning. One name that's interesting that popped up recently here in the last couple of days is Dante Moore, who's the freshman quarterback at UCLA. Chip Kelly is supposedly on his way out at UCLA. Dante Moore is a 5-star quarterback recruit from the last cycle who was very much involved with Miami throughout the process early on. Right after Mario got the job, he came down here a couple times. So that's an interesting name that's sort of on the radar. A couple of other ones that I'll throw out there that don't necessarily, again, this is me speculating who would be a good fit here. I think Cam Ward from Washington State, who, Washington State earlier this year was ranked. He's a guy who's played a lot of football. He's kind of like a De'Aaron King type in the sense of, playing at a lower level Power 5 program, or Houston, like he was at Houston. Ward doesn't necessarily make as many plays as De'Aaron King with his legs, but he's not immobile, and he's a playmaker. And he's gonna score points for you and make plays. So to me, I think those are guys that I would throw out there as potential possibilities. And there's gonna be more. There's gonna be more guys that have South Florida connections, or Florida connections that maybe aren't playing where they're playing. And to me, I think Miami probably goes out and gets if Tyler Van Dyke leaves after this year and Ja'Carri Brown, you're definitely going out and getting 2 transfer quarterbacks, signing a freshman, and bringing back Emory Williams, so that you have four possibilities in my mind.
Wow, that's man. I got to tell you, this quarterback situation has been really kind of twisted, unfortunately for the Canes. All right, so we look at these last 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
Does Is it a successful season if they win one of the 2, both? How do we look at it? Because it's kind of what I thought. I think you were in the same boat as me, 7 or 8 wins.
Yeah, I said 7
Kind
and
of
5.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of what they were supposed to be. Is that the way we look at it? But you have to win.
Yeah, I
What
think.
do it, right?
Yeah, I think the problem when you look at this season as a whole, right? You say, man, if they just had a quarterback who didn't, if Tyler Van Dyke just doesn't go what he went through, then this team probably wins 9 or 10 games, right? If he's the Tyler that we saw from a couple of years ago. So that's the disappointing part for Miami. It's the defense played a lot better than I think any of us anticipated. They're one of the best. I mean, they are the best run defense in the ACC. They're a top 10 run defense. They're one of the best defenses in the country. That's the kind of job that Lance Guidry has done with that unit. So I think the disappointment is that they're not going to finish better than that. But, look, if they win tomorrow against Louisville and they beat a top 10 team, and they beat Texas A&M, who's one of the top 5 most talented teams in the country, and they beat Clemson, who's been the king of the ACC, and you beat Boston College, who's now lost 2 in a row to end the season, and you finish 8-4, as much as it sucks that Miami went through what it went through and lost those games, you still feel pretty good, right? At the end of the year, if they finish 8-4, you're like, okay, that's kind of what we thought they would be. And they had some pretty notable wins that this program hasn't had in the last few years.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it makes a lot of sense, man.
Yeah.
But and the thing is, I don't think they win this week. I think they win next week.
Yeah, I'm with you. And Boston College, I mean, they've been a mess on defense all year long. Thomas Castellanos has been a nice story for him at quarterback, but that they're kind of running out of steam there. Jeff Hafley is with what he has. So I think next week is definitely the more winnable game. But I wouldn't put it past Mario and Miami to do this, because for some
Yeah,
reason,
no, yeah.
they show up against good teams. They show up against the good teams. They don't show up against the teams that they should beat. So that's kind of been the Miami formula for a long time now. So they could show up tomorrow and play great defense, get some turnovers, and then they're on the other side of it, right? Where they're forced. And look, Louisville's got some guys that have played banged up for the last few weeks. Jamari Thrash, their number 1 receiver, has been banged up. Their top running back, Jawar Jordan, isn't running the same because of a hamstring injury. So it's not like Louisville's coming in here piping hot or something, and a top 10 team in the country. So
Yeah. No, and will they? Do you think they'll be able to control the ball on the ground? Because I would imagine with the shape that Tyler Van Dyke's in, Miami and their offensive line and their running backs, that has to be the key to this game for them on the offensive side of the ball. They must control the line of scrimmage
yeah,
and run for 200 yards tomorrow, because one, you keep them off the field,
yeah,
and 2, you protect your quarterback, who you probably don't want him throwing too much. You want him
right,
only making a couple of throws. You know what I mean? Kind of, you almost want to make him the 2016 version of the Broncos. I think it was it 16 when Peyton Manning couldn't throw more than 10 yards, and
yeah,
that running game. I kind of, it's almost like you've got to try to make him that Peyton Manning, where
yeah.
you only need to make a couple of throws for us. We got to control everything else and help you out. I almost feel like if you don't do that, I don't know how you win that game, to be quite honest.
You're right, and I think maybe what you do in this game is you kind of have one read, and if it's not there, you get
Right.
rid of it, throw it
Oh,
away,
yeah.
and maybe that's the kind of game that you have where Tyler Van Dyke only completes 45, 50% of his passes, but as long as he doesn't turn the ball over and you're able to run the ball and every now and then hit on a throw. You don't have to do it consistently, but just hit on one every now and then.
Keep the
and you
chains
can win
moving.
that game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to me, you run it on 1st and 2nd, and you let Tyler throw it on 3rd, if it's 3rd and 5 or longer.
Right.
You try to play one of those conservative game plans, which they can do. And again, this defense it's good enough to beat Louisville. This Louisville offense has done well because of its backs, Isaac Garendo and Jawar Jordan, as I mentioned. They run the ball really well, but I think this Miami front is good enough to get the job done.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see what happens. What do you think? What do you got? What's your prediction?
I should be going with Louisville, but because Vegas has thrown me off by favoring Miami, I'm going to pick the Canes to win this game 27-24.
Okay. All right. Good stuff. What do you got going on in the Athletics so folks can check you out?
Well, we've had a lot of recruiting coverage. We did a couple podcasts this week. One of them, sort of a big national perspective, Stars Matter. You can go and listen to that there. I wrote a big SEC recruiting overview. Florida, by the way, is getting hit pretty hard by decommitments. The Gators are while we're complaining about the Hurricanes down here. Billy Napier in Florida are bleeding right now. They're losing a lot of recruits. Which is good for Miami because you remember Miami opens next season against Florida. That's going to be their first game, so we'll spend the summer talking about that game. But so there's lots to read there. I wrote a column on the Canes not too long ago, so there's plenty to read at the Athletic. A lot of great national coverage.
You got it. Follow him on Twitter at Manny_Navarro. Manny, as always, appreciate you, my brother. Thank you. We'll catch up after the game.
Yep. All right, take care, buddy.
You got it, my man. There you go. Don't forget, you can use our code BIGO10 at Caneswear so you can get 10% off online. Okay, and remember, online, if you order over $99, you'll get free shipping. And, of course, if you go in personally, use our code BIGO10, you will get 10% off at Caneswear.com. All right.